Wait, help! Please, help me! Please, help me!
What in the God's name?
Please, you have to help me. Please.
Help you? You might as well be trying to rob me.
No. I just want to get as far away from here as possible. Please, let me travel with you. I mean you no harm. Please.
All right. Calm down. Hop on.
Thank you.
Yeah! You don't look too good there, mister.
Elthor. My name is Elthor.
Well, Elthor, there's some wine and some bread in the chest if you want. You look like you could use it.
Thank you, I believe I could.
So, you going to tell me what's going on?
I don't know if I can relive the horrors that has led me to you.
You don't look like a wealthy fella. And since I'm giving you free transport and a drink and something to eat, I think it's fair you at least give me a reason for me to do so. Now, where on Golarion are you coming from just now?
I'm not sure. I'm very disoriented. I've been running non-stop for hours before I happened upon this road. Lady Luck must have led me to you, where I think I would have fainted if I had continued any longer.
What you been running from?
From horrors that shouldn't be able to reach me here, but the fear in me drove my steps. Just a few hours ago, I saw the sky for the first time in a year. Or, at least I think it's been a year. I've traveled for weeks now, ever since my escape.
What do you mean you haven't seen the sky for a year? Where have you been?
Underground. Trapped underground by vicious aberrations that were every bit as foul as they appeared. Me and 3 of my companions willfully sought out the dark lands in search for long-forgotten treasure. Fools we were.
Oh, so you're an adventurer?
Yes, a Pathfinder. A wizard. Or, I was. As we journeyed beneath the surface of Golarion, we knew the dangers that might face us, but we were willing to take that risk in pursuit of our goal. I journeyed with Rotham, a half-orc man devoted to Gorum. I also traveled with Lysiander, a female that preferred the shadows of a light, and Lauren, a female elf, a bard. She was probably the smartest of us all, unfortunately. We'd been traveling underground for about a week, with only a small encounter with a group of kobolds opposing us. We disposed of them easily, and the encounter boosted our morale greatly. Perhaps that is why we felt so secure as we entered a great cave full of large stalagmites. Lysiander went ahead, scouting the cave as she always did, but she didn't see the danger that was hiding in plain sight. As we heard her first cries for help, we ran into the cave, into the heart of the stalagmites. We were not prepared for the sight that met us. One of the stalagmites seemed to have come alive. 9 feet tall, it towered over us, and it had 6 strands coming from it. One of them was grabbing Lysiander and pulling her towards it. An eye appeared on the stalagmite, and so did a large mouth filled with long, sharp teeth. Rotham drew his greatsword and sliced through the strand as if it was butter, freeing Lysiander. I could hear Lauren laugh as she fired an arrow that hit the monster straight in the eye. Indeed, it seemed we had the upper hand against this creature as it howled in pain. Then, new strands shot forth from a stalagmite behind us and grabbed Rotham, pulling him towards its open mouth. Rotham was built like an ox and stood almost 7 feet tall, but as the strands touched him, he became visibly weaker, so much that he seemed unable to lift his sword. Another eye and mouth appeared on a third stalagmite, and strands shot forth from it, engulfing Lauren and causing her to drop her bow. Frantically, I cast one of my most powerful spells at the aberration that held Rotham. A lightning bolt shot from my fingers and hit the creature, bathing it in electricity. A horrible sound came from the creature, a sound that I would come to hear many times in the year to come. A laugh. It laughed, and seemed completely unaffected by my lightning bolt. It pulled Rotham into its mouth and started eating him. At the same time, one of the stalagmites had moved and was now pulling Lysiander into its mouth, eating her as well. Their screams mixed with the horrible laugh. I cast missiles of magic to save Lysiander, but the magic didn't even touch the creature. The magic simply dispersed right before impact. I started to panic. Rotham and Lysiander had stopped screaming and were now just limp bodies being eaten. Lauren was still struggling to avoid sharing the same fate as our two companions. Her attacker started to speak. It would have sounded like gibberish for most surface dwellers, but both Lauren and me knew the undercommon language. It said something to the effect of, "Stop struggling, this is how it ends for you." I frantically yelled out, "It does not have to be like this." To which it replied, "And why not?" Lauren then yelled,
"No, you can learn much from us."
The creature stopped pulling her towards its gaping mouth. For a while, all I could hear was Lauren's and my own breath, as well as the chewing sound coming from the two aberrations eating our companions. "Tell me what we can learn from you," the creature demanded. And so began my year as a captive of these creatures. Lauren told me that she had heard of these creatures before, and that other Pathfinders had named them ropers. They kept us alive only to debate with them, to philosophize about many different subjects, from gods to the world above, and even moral issues. They were every bit as evil as they seemed. You see, they wanted to learn something, see new perspectives, and most of all, to win arguments. It was a game to them, and we were toys to be played with. But it had to be real. You couldn't fake stupidity as I tried once. That's how I lost my arm. And you couldn't win the argument either. Showing superior debating skills and intellect would be the death of you. And we knew it. Still, Lauren did it a few months into captivity, perhaps on purpose. The aberrations felt so humiliated they tore her limb from limb and feasted upon her. Never had I seen them so angry. Poor Lauren. I took great care to debate and philosophize on things I didn't know too much about. Luckily, this cluster of ropers didn't have much interest in magic. They kept me alive with fungus and bugs from the dark, and they made sure to sap my strength to keep me from running. When other creatures entered the cave, they used me as bait or hid me away. I've lured dwergars and kobolds into their doom on several occasions, and I've heard the slaughter of creatures I couldn't see as I was hidden away in a far corner of the cave, always under the watchful eye of one of the ropers, of course. But I willfully complied, for I knew that I would be their next meal otherwise. In the end, I was so broken that I thought about giving in and letting them eat me. Escape never seemed to be a possibility. But then one day, they told me to sit in the middle of the cave as bait. I thought nothing of it, as they had forced me to do so before. But it wasn't a kobold or a dwergar that entered the cave. It was a human, a warrior with a shield and sword. He was immediately followed by a dwarf, a cleric of Torak. I could tell by the symbol on his armor. Then came a halfling, a spellcaster no doubt, with several pouches of components and scroll cases hanging by his belt. The dwarf slowly came up to me as the others scanned the room. They didn't recognize the ropers for what they were. To them, they were simple stalagmites, as they had been to me and my companions.
"You don't look too good there, mate,"
the dwarf said. He took a quick look at me, and then he said a prayer. Suddenly, I could feel my strength returning, and the holy energy that now flowed through my body gave me hope. He gave me a gentle smile, and I looked him straight in the eyes. "Ropers," I said. He didn't understand at first. "Ropers!" I screamed. "Ropers!" I then felt the familiar feel of the roper's strands grabbing me. I was sure that it would be the end of me, but the human warrior cut me free and pushed me to the side. I turned around and saw that these three companions seemed to have the situation under control, but they did not know of the two other ropers. I saw them, slowly moving towards the three from behind. Not again, I thought. I had one last spell, one that I had kept in my mind all these months, in case it would ever be needed to aid my escape. But never before had I dared cast it, for I didn't even know if it would hurt them. My last 2 spells hadn't. But I had to try. I had to at least warn these strangers of the danger. I went through the words and gestures of the spell, and when I finished, my fireball exploded in between the 2 unseen ropers. Oh, how they howled. One of them fell to the ground, limp, certainly dead, and the 3 strangers were now aware of the threat of the last roper. I don't know how they fared against them, because I ran. I ran and I didn't stop until my legs no longer could carry me. For weeks I hid and prayed for a way to the surface. Whenever I could move up, I took that way. As if by some cruel irony, I lived on the same kind of fungus the ropers had given me, for it grew in many of the caves I passed through. I've hid from many creatures and avoided many dangers these weeks, until a few hours ago, where I finally emerged to the surface. I don't even remember from where I came, for I just ran. I ran until I found you.
That's quite a story. I bet you never want to head back down underground again, eh?
Never will I return to that horrible place.
Never again? You really sure about that?
Yes, but have you not heard the tale I just told you?
Oh yes, I've heard everything. It's just quite amusing.
What do you mean, amusing?
Oh, watch your step there, Elthor.
What's happening? What have you done?
I didn't do anything but offer you some wine. The poison in that wine is what's doing something to you.
Poison? Why?
Well, you see, not many people like to sell themselves into slavery, so I gotta make sure they don't have too much to say about it. That bottle of wine usually does the trick.
Slavery?
Yeah, the Dwergar pays good money for surface dwellers. You really must be disoriented, because I've been riding towards the very cave you came from. It's the only entrance to the Darklands for miles.
Please. Please, no. Please.
Oh, please, oh, please. I gotta earn a living. And come now, Elthor. Surely you knew the risk when you became a Pathfinder? It's all good and dandy when things are going your way, eh? But I don't think it's going to go your way ever again. What are the odds? Just escaped from the horrors of the Darklands and you bump into the only slaver with ties to the Dwergar around here. Well, that's fate, I guess. And now it seems like you'll be going back underground once more. Of course, you're not much of a physical worker with the missing arm and all, but you do speak Undercommon, and that might be a good selling point. But you know what? If the Dwergar won't buy you, I'll ask them if they can throw you off in a cave filled with ropers nearby. Like the sound of that, eh? Oh, yeah. Yeah!
No. No. No.